Hello, this is Steve with another video. This one is about reading. We all love reading, don't we? So how to read smart. We're focusing on C1 reading part 8, which is the same as B2, and C2 reading part 7, because there's a part less. It's the part where you have lots of different texts, 4, 5 or 6, and you have to say which text refers to a certain idea or which text mentions something like that. In this video, I'm going to show you an activity that I do with my students, that I do myself with the C2 reading because it's so difficult, that I think really helps break it down into a more manageable task. So it's going into the exam with a specific technique of how to do this part of the reading, which is 10 marks, so definitely worth doing. All right, here's the idea. Look, the technique is you're going to underline 4 to 5 ideas in each text. The text that we're using in class will be in the description, so you can copy and paste it and use it yourself. And when I say ideas in each text, I mean like just picking out a discrete, complete, synonymizable idea. Don't use that word on Use of English Part 3, it's not a word. But you see what I mean, it's an idea that could be in the answers because it's quite easy to express this idea in different words. You can make a synonym out of this expression, it is synonymizable. When we say an idea, I'm thinking 5 to 10 words, could be less, shouldn't really be more, because then you're starting to lose the idea of having captured the essence of the idea, which is really important for when you're trying to understand the idea when you're reading it. So you're not just reading it thinking, oh, that's interesting, people are talking about their work, people are talking about some kind of psychological study, like always in C1 exams. No, you're reading it thinking, here's my idea, here's my idea, here's my idea. Okay, this I understand. I'm ready for it if there is a question that says, which text refers to I remember that one. 4 to 5 ideas in each text. Once you've read it all, then look at the questions, which actually come first in the exam, don't they? But then look at the questions and go through, and it should be a lot easier. So let's look at an example. This is a real C1 example from some textbook. Don't remember which one, but thanks to the hardworking people at Cambridge with all their textbooks. Hope you don't mind me borrowing it for an activity, an educational activity. It's advice from experts on graduate jobs. Well, I'll say an expert, though it's the same person writing all of it, which is a bit strange because they're all quite different. But anyway, 4 people giving advice about what to do when you've graduated, when you finished university, how to get a job. I'll just do the first one and then you can do it yourself and we can see how it works. But if we read this, be conscious of your digital footprint and remember that nothing can ever really be deleted, and this includes social media profiles as well as forum and websites. Okay. It helps if you activate the privacy settings on your social media account and control who you allow to see your account. I like this idea about activating privacy settings. Now, I must admit I have already done this text, but when I did it the first time, I'm pretty sure this is what I underlined before I'd seen the answers and done everything. The most foolproof solution is to behave well and treat these networks with a healthy respect. I quite like this idea because that seems to me like you could make a synonym out of it. Instead of treat these networks with a healthy respect, you could say deal with social media with a good amount of consideration. I'm making this up in my head, obviously, but something like that. Treat them with respect, deal with social media with a good amount of care, respect, something like that. You can make the most of what shows up first by using public professional networking sites to build a more professional footprint. Okay, this idea I quite like as well. The idea that you can use these websites to build a more professional footprint. This I can imagine saying, you can get a job by acting in a more corporate manner on social media, again, on Facebook and Instagram, on connecting people websites, those kind of words. That's not a word, but you get the idea. Which you can then add to by getting mentioned for extra activity. In the job market, this can be gold dust, so find opportunities to comment on blogs and articles, provide quotes for journalists, and guest blog on things you're interested in or know a lot about. That's nice because it's telling you what to do. So which text gives you specific instructions about communicating online. You're supposed to be commenting on blogs and so on. So I've underlined 4 ideas there, as you can see, 5 to 10 words each. That one might be 11, but we could get rid of the public and it'd be 10 words. And you do this for all the texts, and then you go through and say, it turns out that maybe one of these was the correct one. And because you've underlined 4 or 5 in each text, you're going to have 16 to 20 ideas that you've understood, that you've juggled, that you've got in the bank. So you should be able to answer quite a lot of these with the ideas. When I did it with some of my students, we were getting 5, 6, 7, 8 actual ideas from the answers, which is almost enough to pass, so it's pretty good. So that's the big idea. Do it, answer the questions, pause the video, come back, and we'll look at the answers. So these were the questions. Which text advises graduates to continue job hunting? That was text C, wasn't it? Keep applying for roles elsewhere, even though you already got a job. I don't think we need to go into the text to find them, but as we can see, this was somewhere near the end. You must keep applying before your internship ends. So you're working, internship, but you're still looking for work. You're continuing. Yeah, we get it. Explain why they accept a certain type. This was a little more difficult, but because many graduates are desperate for experience, they accept an internship. So this is why they would accept an internship, which is a type of employment, because they're desperate for experience. A suggestion, if you've been unsuccessful, was broaden your search if you've only targeted big companies. A variety of ways of obtaining employment was B, which mentioned different job hunting methods for public, private jobs and so on. Number 5, how can graduates create a good impression? This was A. This was sort of what we mentioned this one, didn't we? Build a more professional footprint is creating a good impression in terms of a job market. Maintain relationships. This was a pretty easy one. If you found it, if you underlined it, the stay in touch bit in text D. Maintain relationships, I just said, is D. Thinking positively was also D. More energizing, positive, energizing. We get the idea. Why do some jobs have fewer applicants? That was B, mentioning tighter recruitment budgets for smaller companies. So this is explaining why they have fewer applicants, because they have tighter recruitment budgets. Typical C1 words, these aren't they? Budgets, referring to something with money. Tighter, meaning in this a tight budget means you don't have so much money, obviously. And number 9, difficult to hide. Well, this is what we saw as well. Nothing can be deleted in text A, as in information on the internet. And disapproves. This one was a bit more difficult. It's hard to underline any part of this. But in text C, the tone of the words used, illegal, undermining, and exploiting, he disapproves of this, and quite rightly too. We shouldn't be having unpaid internships, should we? It's very cruel. These poor young graduates. So there we go. That's your little part 8 activity for C1 or part 7 for B2 or C2. I think it really, really works. It really helps. As I said, in summary, well, more like springing with the weather we're having at the moment, and winter's finished. But the idea is to break down, being serious for a minute, a Lampard transition. Break down the text into manageable ideas to make it easier to find the corresponding answer. That is the big idea. You're going in with a specific strategy to the exam. You're not just reading it and saying, well, today, didn't get a bit of that. No, because you've got your strategy. So even if you don't understand a thing about graduate jobs, at least you've got, okay, this idea. It's a specific strategy to help you. Okay, that's it. As I said, everything's in the description. Try it yourself, or if you're a teacher, use it in class. I think it really helps. It's a good activity for your Cambridge exams. Subscribe to the channel. I know my videos are getting very popular with there's a new trend of people watching these videos even if they're not doing the exam, just because they're really interesting and informative. So if you're new to the channel, even though you're not doing the Cambridge exam, great, enjoy the video, try it yourself. It's pretty fun, pretty addictive, these activities. Right, we'll leave it there. Thanks, goodbye.